Ooh, what up, everybody? This is Kyle, and there's another Kyle, and this is Knockouts and 3 Counts. You've got 2 of the original 4 horsemen are in the house tonight, and we are joined by Hyden, formerly of the Sports Lab podcast. How you doing, brother, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm breathing. Kyle!
What up, though?
How the fuck are you?
Hey, man, it's Mania weekend. Worst Mania build-up I've ever seen. So this is gonna be a good weekend.
We are starting this show off.
Oh, man.
Corey, how the fuck are you, man?
I am doing well, man. Excited to start this weekend. What about you fellas?
Hey, man, I'm breathing. I'm excited to see at least what comes out of it. Like Kyle said, the build for WrestleMania definitely has been underwhelming, to say the least.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think even Kyle would attest to the fact that because it's WrestleMania, you know these dudes are gonna bust their ass in these matches. So I'm sure, even though it's not the card that I'm maybe most looking forward to, we're still gonna get some things that are gonna be good out of it. But it's still WrestleMania at the end of the day. But before we get to all that shit, Kyle, it's been a minute. Throw out your social medias and all that good shit, and let them know about your podcast too.
Yeah, you can find me on all social media platforms at Team Chaos. That's KAYOS. That's Facebook page. That's Instagram, YouTube. You can also find my podcast, World of Chaos, on Anchor, Apple, Spotify, Google, and I think Stitcher. You can also find me on Twitter occasionally, and you can also find me part of the Wakanda Black Nerdcast is this group and podcast on YouTube also.
Corey, go ahead, throw your social media out. I know you're only doing the Twitter thing. I am letting everybody on the Twitterverse let them know that we're live. So go ahead, throw your social medias out, and let them know where to find you.
As always, man. The only thing I stay active on at this point is Twitter, Fight Fan from the 313, and let's get to it.
What about you, Hyden? You on social medias anywhere?
Yeah. The only one that I am on is Instagram. It's at Hyden813, and then I just got my Facebook. I had a Twitter years back, but I got rid of it. But yeah, that's what I got.
All right. Well, Corey, I want to start with you first because as I was talking about before I hit the go live button, you have not watched wrestling in years. So
Years. I want to quantify
first
that.
Of all,
years with a strong S, strong Z, however you want to say it. It's years. It's been years. But go on.
So, like I said, it's been years. But what were your overall thoughts of the show? I mean, like I said, you haven't watched it in a while, but you watched both nights with me. Mm-hmm. I want to know what your overall thoughts were on NXT TakeOver, being that you haven't been watching like that. So it's going to be cool to see somebody who has no bias one way or the other towards any of these matches. I want to know what you thought.
So my thoughts of the 2 nights, if I'm going to rate them separately, or how do you want me to start it? Do you want me to rate them
however you want,
or separately?
However you want.
Because as a
we're going to go match by match, but I want you to just, as a whole, what were your overall thoughts on the show?
As a whole, it was entertaining, but like I expressed to you a couple times, I remember back in my era, the Attitude Era, as everybody always mentions, there was more mic time. There wasn't really enough mic time in my opinion, to kind of, I know we're playing out the stories that have been built up throughout the mic time, I guess you could say, but that would be really my biggest complaint throughout the night. That and the picture-in-picture commercials was really taking me out of it on USA. I can't underemphasize that enough, man. That was rough.
I hated the picture-in-picture.
Just kind of like when you would really kind of lean in on a match and start to, hand on the chin, and it would show you a Subway sub, and it's like, well, that's not what I'm here for. I mean, it's cool, but they know when to pick that timing, and it's really unfortunate. But even with that being said, I still felt like the first night outshined the second. I don't know if that was because of me being fresh to it and not being involved in wrestling in the sense of watching it regularly and stuff like that, that first night did have me more entertained than the second. I felt like there was a couple better matches in the first night that kind of really played out well on camera and stuff like that, in my opinion. The second night was also a very entertaining night. Don't get me wrong. It's just, it seemed like, I don't know what would the proper way to word it would be, but it just didn't have that same amount of buzz for me at the end of the night. At the end of the night, I didn't have that like thought still on matches as much as I did in the first night.
All right. I mean, I can respect that too, because I personally felt like there was a lot more energy in night one. But I was definitely looking more forward to the stories for what was going into night two. Hyden, what about you? What were your overall thoughts on the event? On how it played out? Did you like one night versus the other better, and why?
I personally liked it two night shows. I know with the certain, the environment that we're in now, obviously that's the way it is. But I love it when they did with WrestleMania and then NXT. So I think I like the second night a little bit more. There were a few matches that I was looking more forward to in the second night than the first, but the first I would say was probably a little more entertaining with the matches they had. So, like I was talking to you earlier about the main event of night two, which we'll get to, I'm sure, that blew me away. So performances were great. The second night, both nights were great. I can't say one or the other, but I'd say the second night had a few matches that I was more looking forward to than the first one. So.
And again, I think that's been the general consensus, because even though I enjoyed the build for the O'Reilly versus Cole match,
yeah,
I heard a lot of people on Twitter, including Izzy today on Busted Open, say that she felt like people weren't as invested into it live during the match. So it doesn't surprise me there. But like I said, story-wise, that one was the one I was most looking forward to.
Sure.
Kyle, what about you? I mean, what were you looking forward to? What was big for you going into TakeOver?
The only match I was really looking forward to was the Adam Cole Kyle O'Reilly match. I think that's the best thing that NXT has right now. NXT, I think, of any promotion out there, has struggled the most to really recapture that feel because there's no live crowd. An NXT crowd was a Mania crowd every single pay-per-view and every single week. They had the absolute best fans, the best crowd, the best atmosphere. So even though the matches have been great, it's still just missing that it factor that it used to have. I don't want to sound like an old man, get off my lawn, but I do think we have witnessed the best of NXT. The roster, I don't think is the best roster they've had, even though they have a lot of great talent, but it just is missing something to me right now. It's a different phase of NXT. They're still building up, newer stars with Karrion Kross. You still have the old guard there with Ciampa and Gargano, but it's just to me still just missing that it factor it used to have.
Okay, I can totally respect that in some areas, but in my personal opinion, I think a lot of that, like you were mentioning, has to do with the crowd. But I would definitely say after watching TakeOver, there were a few. I mean, like I said, I think most people were watching TakeOver more specifically for that Cole versus O'Reilly match. But I would go as far to say that I think the best match of the whole card happened on night one, and that was Walter versus Ciampa. That match was fucking awesome. They told a great story in it, and I love the fact that everybody knows, Walter is known for his chops. So the whole match, he's trying to chop the living hell out of Ciampa, and the first time he misses, he cracks the table thing in half. Then he swings again and then ends up getting knocked out by Ciampa. And then the ironic part of the whole thing, if anyone was going to get chopped up, shit, Walter's chest looked like hamburger meat at the end of that shit. And then, Walter finally got his right at the end, right before he got his and then won the match. So, I mean, They told a
Yeah.
great story in that one, man. Hyden, what were your thoughts on it?
Oh, I love the match personally. Like you just kind of hit the nail on the head there, and I liked how Walter in the beginning of the match tried to slap Tommaso, and then he blocked it with an elbow. I was like, man, that's creative. He blocked it with an elbow, and then he started chopping him too. And I said, this is great. It's entertaining, you know. So Walter performs on any given night. He's a great wrestler for his size, being, you know, what is he, 6'7", 300 pounds or something along those lines. So
And he can move, man.
he can move for a big guy.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not talking about a guy who's not agile for being that big. Like,
Right.
I remember when he got on the top rope, when he won the title at TakeOver Brooklyn, ring the bell, Kyle. I was there. It was TakeOver before the last Mania that we could all go to before COVID fucked shit up.
Yeah.
And then, dude, Walter got on the top rope and did a flying splash in the air that man got for being that big. I'm just like, man, you poor son of a bitch. Like, laying there about to take this. Like,
and Ciampa performs against anybody, and I would pay money to watch him, you know, wrestle at any given time. So he played a great story. There's a great story involved with both of them. Great match, overall result. You know, Walter's still the champ. You know, I kind of saw that coming, but the performance itself was great. It was a great match, entertaining from both ends. So Ciampa delivered as always. And then when I saw Walter's chest, I was like, man. During the commentary, they said that he had little spots of blood or something. I was like, what are you talking about? So I saw his chest. I was like, whoa, it is really red. I was like, man, they went at it. So yeah, that match was great. So I can't disagree with you there that you thought that was the best match overall. So yeah, definitely a great one for sure.
Corey, I want to know your honest thoughts on that match in particular, only because you talked, you know, like we talked about, you know, you're more of an MMA guy. And I would go as far to say that out of all the matches we saw on TakeOver, this was probably one of the most hard-hitting matches. So with that being said, what did you think about this match in particular?
I agree with the hard hittingness. I think the latter match was a little more hard hitting on the first night, but I do agree with the hard hitting nature of it. Like you said, so going into it, I was like, oh wow, this dude's name is really just Walter, huh? Like just Walter. Like, no,
it's really his name. So yeah, pretty much
Walter. I'm like,
Walter.
Okay. And then you guys are building him up like, dude, you gotta wait for his chops and you gotta hear this. You guys grab the remote to crank the sound up and everything. And like you said, what happened in the first couple minutes, man? Ciampa went out there, deflected it, and landed his own. And that's what ended up kind of taking my attention for the match, honestly, was the fact that he was able to spin a lot of the momentum. It seemed like that was the case with the majority of the matches for people who were the loser of the night. They kind of seemed like a lot of the losers really outperformed the winners, I guess you could say, until they didn't, you know? And that's something you could really see in my eyes in that night. Like you said, Walter looked good. He was big, he was active and everything like that. And he did have his moments in there. But for my money, I think Ciampa did better. I really honestly did. I think he was the better of the two looks and aesthetics wise, other than the fact I couldn't get over his spray tan, but that's on me. But that was a very entertaining match, man. That was one of my probably top three of the night, you know, of the roundup.
Absolutely,
I would say.
Well, Kyle, that's something that what Corey just mentioned is something that I want to ask your opinion on. So, okay, on NXT for the longest time, you know, we've seen Ciampa's been coming out in like the camo pants. He hasn't really been in the trunks garb, which we were so used to. Here for TakeOver, obviously, he's showing how big of a match this is because he comes in, he looked fucking great, first of all.
Yeah.
He'd been doing like the old man thing with his hair for a while, shaved all that shit bald, had his beard all lined up. It was still crazy, but his beard's all lined up, comes out in his ring jacket, got his, you know, new trunks on and shit. How much significance do you think that had to do with, you know, him trying to show the significance of Walter to a crowd in NXT, which even though diehards like you and me, and I'm sure Hyden already knew about Walter as well,
yeah,
you know, but mainstream NXT fans who are just watching on USA may not know as much about Walter or Imperium. So how much do you think that had to do with Ciampa trying to make Walter look like $1 million?
I mean, for a good, like you said, a good portion of the viewing audience, this is possibly their first time viewing Walter. You know, you got to put the extra author in there.
Walter.
I mean, the guy is one of the best kept secrets in WWE.
Yeah.
I mean, because of everything that's been going on with the pandemic, I know he was stuck over in London. He hasn't really wanted to leave the UK area because he's just comfortable there. So to really showcase him to a huge audience on the USA Network, they did a great job. For NXT old head like me, it's a Walter match, and those are matches I love. He's probably the best Haas they have in WWE right now. The guy is just huge, hard hitting, and he is, other than I would say Brock Lesnar, the best final boss that they have in WWE. I mean, the second you see the guy, you know you're in for trouble.
You know you fucked up. Like getting in the ring with him, you know you're in for a long night.
It's
it
a Thanos
looks like
the second you saw Thanos, you knew, okay, it's about to get real. The second you see Walter, you see Brock, you're like, okay, shit's about to go left. So it's always fun to see that, and it's a Walter match. I mean, it's him versus a little guy like Tyler Bate at NXT Cardiff a couple years ago. Yep. You know, it's Walter versus a guy smaller than him because everybody's usually smaller than him. So it's and that was a great match.
It was
too. So you know, it's Walter doing what he does best, and honestly, it's something I expected, and having probably my favorite character in NXT with Tommaso, I think it was a great match. It was a good build up, and was something that just didn't disappoint.
So here's the thing too, like for those who, like Kyle mentioned, you know, a lot of the time in NXT, you know, a lot of his opponents have been a lot smaller. Walter is also one half of the match that put multiple past time guests of this show back on the map, PCO, when they faced each other at, I want to say it might have been Joey Janela's Spring Break, but it was maybe a GCW show. But they had their match and they just beat the dog shit out of each other. And we're talking about 200-300 pound hosses, like you just said, just going head to head and getting at it, man. So, I mean, like I said, you see a guy like Walter in there with PCO or whoever it might be, man. Walter is something to watch, and I feel like American fans who may not know Walter very well yet, if he stays over on NXT, you're in for a treat. Well, you mentioned Pete Dunne, Hyden.
Yep.
Let's talk about Pete Dunne versus Kushida. Pete Dunne gets the dub in this match, but a really hard fought battle. You know, you had a real technical back and forth, really good grappling display, and Pete Dunne smashed another man's fingers. Like, I mean, I don't know if this motherfucker thinks it feels good or he just really don't give a fuck. But I mean, dude, poor Kushida's fingers. Like, Corey, you remember we like paused it? We paused it at the end of the thing and we're like, damn, look at his fingers. Like, his fingers were fucking smushed, dude.
As somebody that works with their hands every day and constantly beats on my own fucking hands for a living, it is not a good feeling when you get something stepped on, stomped on, dropped something on a finger or anything like that. Man, I couldn't imagine somebody jumping off the top ropes and laying on my damn hands. That can't be a good feeling.
I mean, all in all, I thought it was a real good match, man. But Pete Dunne getting the dub here, I don't think that a loss here is going to hurt Kushida too much because Kushida had a lot of high spots in there. I mean, hell, the suicide dive that he hit going through the ropes, like he slammed the shit out of Pete Dunne into that wall. Like, that looked like a fucking car crash, dude.
Now, real quick, though, when was the last time Kushida had a big win? Because the last pay-per-view I saw him in, he lost in that one also.
Who did he face at the last takeover?
It was Walter, wasn't it?
Kushida didn't beat Walter.
No, I think who he beat. I'm sorry. I thought you meant who he faced. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can't remember about like a big win for him since he's been in WWE.
Well, they had him beat I mean, they had him going with Cameron Grimes for a minute. He beat Cameron Grimes a few times. Then he had I'm trying to think of who it was. He faced.
I can't remember either, to be honest.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, he hasn't had a lot of big
had
wins. I mean, they've had him in dope matches. They've had him in dope matches and dope. They've showcased him well in the things he's done, but you're right. He hasn't had, that big win. I'm hoping now that the Jordan Devlin, Santos Escobar thing has kind of played its course at this point. Hopefully, maybe we can see Kushida get back towards the cruiserweight title. Because I will say before we talk about that match, I really feel like that match that match and the feud between them two to unify the titles really kind of put a good spotlight back on the cruiserweight matches to where they weren't just like, oh, it's 205 Live. Like, I was legitimately interested to see what happens in this ladder match, and I thought the way that they brought HBK in the week before TakeOver to just come out, put the ladder in the ring, don't say a word, like it was super old school to me. I thought that was a good touch to it, and I liked the way that they used the ladder to be like the deciding feature in this match. What were your thoughts on it, Hyden? Did you like that match? What are the things you didn't like about it? What did you think?
Yeah, I did, because I'm a fan of Santos Escobar, so that was one of the matches I was looking forward to. Beginning, the pace of a ladder match has to kind of slow down a little bit, and then it, gets a little intense afterwards. So I liked the build up. I liked everything during the match. The storytelling was there, and then you had Legado Phil. I can't pronounce their name for the life of me.
Legado del Fantasma.
Thank you. They came in, and I was like, yeah, I forgot about them because I was so interested in the one-on-one matchup. So I figured when Jordan was gonna win it, he was, just a few inches away from it, they would come in and interfere and all that. So I kind of saw that coming. But overall, I thought it was a great match. Santos Escobar to me is a fantastic wrestler, one of the best that I think I've seen at NXT. So for him to win, I think it was a good thing for them. He's definitely a guy that I would watch anytime. Great match overall. Could have been better probably, but I didn't really mind it. I like ladder matches either way. So I like
Here's
how it
my
came
question though. Did you know about Phantasma before he became Santos Escobar in NXT?
When he was in the Classic tournament, I didn't know who he was exactly until he took off the mask, but not prior to. No, I didn't.
Yeah, he was big in AAA and everywhere in Mexico as Phantasma. He was actually going by El Hijo del Fantasma because his dad was the original Phantasma. And that mask that he was wearing to the ring was the mask he used to always wear to the ring.
I was wondering, he came out with the mask, and I said, this must be because it's a big match or something. I knew there was a meaning behind it, but yeah, no, that's good to know. I didn't know that.
Yeah, see, we know our shit over here. We try to anyway.
I didn't say Corey, that you did, my friend. So
hey, I know you didn't. I'm letting it know for the viewers at home. If you haven't done so, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss us. We're live usually every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. But with it being WrestleMania week, we had to switch things up a little bit. Corey, again, you haven't watched in a while, but some of the things that you told me when we first had you come into the show where you remembered some of the ladder matches from when we were younger. So watching this match, before we get to that, how about you tell everybody what your first thoughts were when we started watching that match? When you told me about the trunks, bro.
Dude, all right, so this is one thing, and I can't say this enough. In MMA, we have at least like the boxer brief style trunks, like the thigh length shorts. Can we just all agree and be over and done with the banana hammock shorts? Because I am that made the night very distracting and not in a good way at all. I mean, you'd see the stunned and staggered moments when they're on the ground and the camera's panning up all close and the legs are just spread open, and I'm like, I'm trying my best to not look at the dude's package. I'm trying my best. It's right there.
It's really right there. It's kind of hard to, Yeah. I mean, I got you on that.
The camera's inviting it to you. Like here you go.
And, the younger guys, it's hard.
Over those shorts. It's
funny to see on the younger guys. The older guys, yeah, I get it. They're traditionalists and everything. The young kids, it's like, no, yeah, you can do a Kevin Owens. You can wear some like longer baggy shorts. It's okay. It's all right. We're fine with that now.
See, but then here's the thing, though. The exception to that rule is a guy like Gargano or even Ciampa in this case, who every time they come out with the trunks, like the whole thing matches. Like most of the time, Johnny's got some kind of Marvel or superhero influence gear where it all like ties itself around. So, I mean, it all depends, but like definitely felt what you were saying. We're a little bit out of whack here because the ladder match was on night two.
A little more surface area for these advertisements wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, right? We could all agree on that.
Not unless they're trying to get a sponsorship from Banana Republic.
I don't even know if that's even around anymore, but yeah.
Honestly, Kyle, you kind of had taken the words at my point of what I was going to make with this ladder match out of my mouth with the fact of, did it kind of disappoint comparing to the ladder matches of when I was a kid? Yes. Not going to cold play that even a little bit, not going to front even a hair. That being said,
to be fair, you were comparing it to TLC though.
I'm remembering like ladder matches when I was a kid is when like you would make it, like you were saying, to that 2 inches away from grabbing the belt or the suitcase or whatever happened to be dangling at this exact moment.
Right.
And then not only would you get pushed from there, you'd get pushed over the edge of the ropes and you're just wherever the hell you end up. Like there wasn't any of that last night. They did end up with the broken ladder at the end, which did look like it would hurt. I know
with the headbutt, that was pretty intense at the end.
Dude, that shit was gnarly. My man's feet were over top his head.
And then he just stares at him for about 2 minutes, and then I'm like, just get the belt, man. Don't but you got to build it up,
Do that. Like that's always been one of my biggest bitches about ladder matches my whole life is when a guy gets up there and they fuck around and look around. I'm like, you motherfucker, just grab
he's not getting up. Just grab it already and be done with it. Yeah,
that's like been the history of ladder matches forever in that regard, but. Yeah, it wasn't quite as thrilling as the ones of when I was younger. Especially like some of the ladder matches they did in like the cage and shit like that back in the day. Those some of those used to be
ladder matches in a cage. I don't remember that.
I'm pretty.
I've never seen a ladder match in a cage.
That would be a good idea, but I don't know.
I mean, that would be a pretty fucking wild idea, but I don't remember a ladder in a cage.
That's a Vince Russo idea right there.
I was gonna say if it is, it's a Vince Russo idea, maybe. But
I gotta try googling that.
I might have to look that up after the show. But what did you think of the overall match? You said you didn't like it as much as the ones from when you were younger, but what did you think about this match between Devlin and Santos?
It was still entertaining. That was the one point I was definitely gonna make. It was still entertaining, like I was saying, kind of when we were going over the first match earlier. It was up there and actually one of my more hard-hitting. I think it was because of that final with the ladder being smashed and being left in like a pile of ruin with the, destroyed ladder at his back. It left that like lasting imprint for a little while. So I honestly did enjoy that match. That's one, even though I wouldn't rate it necessarily super like on the S tier, I guess it was still a very entertaining match. That's for sure.
Kyle, what were your thoughts on them basically playing off the old Intercontinental title story between Shawn and Razor to a degree? I liked that touch being an old school fan myself, but I thought the match was pretty good.
I thought it was a good match. It does show that as great as the match was, one of the main things that a lot of people I saw were talking about was the HBK walkout when he sets up the ladder. And that nostalgia that came with it. And I get that you're trying to play into that, but sometimes you don't want to remind people of something that is that great because it's kind of hard to top it. And this was a good ladder match, but if you're going to compare yourself to the arguably greatest ladder match or one of the greatest ladder matches, one of the original ladder matches, that's kind of a hard thing to do because you're kind of putting yourself behind the 8 ball. And I think they kind of did that because they knew the build for this match was okay, but it was more of to get a reaction out of people, seeing HBK bringing back that, nostalgia for that new generation attitude era stuff. And it didn't live up to it. It was a good ladder match, but I think of any match on both nights, it's if you're ranking every single match, it's gonna be kind of lower on there because there were greater matches that have greater builds, but it was a good ladder match. I'll say that it was a good ladder match, and that's nothing to wipe your finger at.
All right, Corey, I want to talk about a match that you specifically said stuck out to you more so than some of the other ones. I want to talk about the gauntlet match. I want to know what were your thoughts on the gauntlet match, because you told me that was one of the ones that stuck out to you most out of the matches that we watched. So what are your thoughts on the gauntlet match? What do you think about the winner?
I thought that the way that it played out at the ending, like I had preferenced earlier, I feel like a lot of the quote unquote losers are the ones that kind of stick out in my mind, and I feel like Swerve was that in that match. I feel like he was the one that kind of stood out to me. He did have a couple moments where he, did like the disappear type deal where other people got their shine for a moment type deal. But in the ending sequence and stuff, he really stood out, and especially when it was him versus Ruff. Is that who?
Yep.
When it was them two going at it in the beginning, man, I really thought that was a good match. It looked like, honestly, like I would have enjoyed seeing that play out for an extra, 90 seconds or whatever the timer was in between fighters or wrestlers coming in. But that being said, I felt like he was the more standout one in my opinion. From like I said, not watching to watching, I felt like he was the one that stood out the most to me. I could see where you guys were saying that you wanted big guy to win. Why I'm blanking names so hard right now.
Bronson Reed.
Yeah, why you were saying you wanted Brunson to win because he had the story built up and stuff behind him, but I felt like he did a lot of the typical big man stuff, and they kind of put him on bottom to like do a couple of the 3-man slams and stuff like that. A lot of the big guy stuff, quote unquote. It was a good match, and it did stand out in the fact of it was constantly revolving. I kept calling him German Tank throughout the night. I can't remember his actual name as well, but he really stood out to me as well, man. He looked awesome out there. He really did. The fact that he came in kind of like stoic faced, blank faced,
Dexter Loomis
style.
It was Dexter Loomis.
Yeah, he looked good. He was probably my number 2 in sense of standouts, I guess. But overall, it was a good match, man. That one was very entertaining. I think that was honestly maybe even my highlight of night 1, to be honest with you.
All right. That's a little that's why I wanted to ask you about that match. I agree with you on Swerve. I definitely think Swerve definitely stuck out to me in that match too. I hope that we can see Swerve stay up towards just let him have like some kind of story. I just want to continue to see him on TV because, dude, he was really banging it out. Plus, dude, I got to say, maybe I'm a little biased because I got to kick it with dude in Florida, but he was cool people. So hopefully we can get to see a little bit more of Swerve. Kyle, I want to get your thoughts on LA Knight coming over to NXT. We all knew him as Eli Drake in Impact and NWA, but I got to say the fact that he's basically still getting to say all his normal shit on NXT just under a different name. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with him from here.
Yeah, that to me was a good Triple H signing because that's not a Vince guy at all. That's a Triple H guy. I hate the name. I just hate it. I'm like, isn't that the team that Calvin Cambridge plays
dude,
for?
that's the first thing I thought, dude. Oh my god.
I'm glad I'm
I was just waiting for Bow Wow.
Every time I would hear the name, all I could think of is like some LA soccer team or something. That's all I could think of.
Like that's the generic team. Whenever you create a game, like they give you the preset teams that don't have any real names. The LA Knights, like it's just anytime I see it, I'm like, dude, like you guys come up with some horrible names. Like just
at least
I know
on
you
the
didn't own the
upside,
name
though,
Eli
it can
Drake,
still
but
go with his cadence though.
Yeah. He's a good guy. I mean, the stuff he did over in Impact was really good. If they can keep that same kind of loose cannon type on the mic feel, it's something to watch NXT for because you don't really have anybody like that in NXT right now. He does stick out for that, and he's good in the ring. So it is going to be good to see something that's a little different because after a while, some of the people can just kind of seem all familiar. I mean, you either got the baby faces that are just baby faces or the heels that are just heels, and one or two guys or girls that are tweeners. So having somebody like that is, a good loose cannon on the mic is something to make NXT stand out a little more now because after Mania, you're probably going to get, a few call ups. We've already had Rhea called up in the last couple of weeks. So you're going to have to start mixing it up and making NXT stand out a little more. So having him on there does inject a little adrenaline into NXT.
I agree. Well, Hyden, you've been quiet for a little bit, so I want to get your thoughts on the tag team title match. We
That
had
was
a
a good
triple
one.
threat between
Yeah.
Grizzled Young Vets, MSK, and past guest of the show, Zach Wentz, now known as Nash Carter and Wesley, versus your champions. Or you didn't have a champion, so there was a
Right.
It was
No time vacant. Yeah.
It was vacant.
Yeah. And just to circle back here, what Corey was
against
saying about the
Legado del
gauntlet match.
Fantasma. What am I saying?
Yeah, the gauntlet match is actually one of my favorite matches too out of the first night. So I just want to throw that out there. I enjoyed that one too. With everyone there, the tag match was awesome, and I love when there's a triple threat tag match or just a triple threat match. Makes for great entertainment. Those three tag teams were really entertaining. It was really fast paced, back and forth, with different teams and whatnot. So the match was great. I like it. MSK, MSA. I'm sorry, MSK.
Yes,
wasn't
sir.
it?
MSK.
Okay. I keep getting it with an X for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, MSK is a great tag team. Very athletic, high flyers. So I can tell, that's very entertaining there. So good for them. A great win. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good. I was just popping up the comments on the screen. You're good.
Oh, okay. My bad. I was wondering what that was. But yeah, no, it was a great match overall. A fast pace with all the teams. Moving forward to it. I can't complain. It was an entertaining one for sure.
I'm with you on that one, but there were a few things in particular that drove me fucking insane. Now, keep in mind that night one was on USA. Bro.
Oh, okay.
Again, I'm a little bit biased because Nash Carter, Zach Wentz, thanks to the fine folks over at BCWA, hooked it up so that we could talk with him and Trey Miguel back at I forgot what the BCWA show it was, but we got to chat with them there at BCWA along with Colt Cabana and more, which is why you got to hit that subscribe button so you can go check out all that stuff. But because of the commercials, they totally cut off MSK's entrance. Like, what the fuck? They came back on and they're already in the ring. I'm like, they got like the dopest entrance out of all the teams in this bitch.
And they gave him a jobber entrance.
The one that got cut? Like, come on, man.
That kind of shows too they probably didn't shoot this for TV because you typically wouldn't do that. So they probably just had somebody on the USA Network. Time for commercial break. Click. So yeah.
I literally watched it on Peacock. I didn't even watch it on USA.
Corey, did you peep that out at all? Like how like sometimes when they'd go to the commercials, it was kind of like they just went like there was no like, yeah, we're going to commercial. It was just picture in picture.
Well, that's one. Yeah, that's why I had made note of it so early in the show, man. That really honestly was a huge part in the first night that, like I said, it would start to really garner some attention. Something would really be on the upswing in a match or whatever the case be. And then foot long. And it's just, yeah, it was so distracting. Hearing what was the commercial? Tatum and Draymond Green going back and forth about bacon. I'm like,
so sick of that commercial, man. Oh my god.
Yeah, that one's getting ran into the ground. I'm Jason Tatum. Like, I
yes,
don't care.
Draymond, you have more rings than Jason.
Yes,
I know that for like the 20th time. I got it. Yours has bacon. Cool. Like I got you on that.
I was kind of hungry, so I was thinking about it. But either way.
What'd you think about the actual match, bro?
The picture was rough. The 3-man tag team for the belt. I enjoyed it. once it became more of a one-on-one on it, once it kind of lost that initial craziness, I guess you could say, it was almost hard to follow in the beginning. And that's one thing I noted to you in the beginning, in my opinion, Kyle, was there was so much going on inside, outside. You had people trying to reach in to get tagged in. You had this, that. It was a lot going on in the beginning. I feel like once that kind of mellowed out a little bit, I agree with you. MSK, right?
Yeah, MSK.
They were my standout of the three. The English team was kind of, they looked good as well, but the whole Liverpool theme and stuff like that was kind of played out.
Liverpool's number one.
In my opinion, it was a little, and as for the other team, they put on another great performance.
Legado del Fantasma, though. Now, I'm surprised to hear you say MSK was the standout, because when we were watching the match, Legado del Fantasma was the team you kept telling me that you liked the best out of the three of them.
Well, because that's why I was putting them at a number 2 sense, was because I felt like they did a lot of good work, especially once they got like outside of the cage and stuff like that. The jump twist flip that I don't know the name of. That
when he did like the corkscrew, when Raul did the corkscrew and Joaquin, I keep calling him Joaquin Wild. Sounds so weird. He's DJ Z to me, damn it. He's DJ Z to me, damn it. But DJ Z went through the ropes and Raul did the corkscrew. That shit was dope. But for this being your first time seeing MSK, because they're such a just in your fucking face team, what were your thoughts?
Well, that's why I think they put the number 1 stamp on of the three, is because of the fact when they got at it, they got at it. There was no like playing around. There was no pussyfooting around. That was one thing I kind of had noted with you with old Liverpool boys, was it looked like he was kind of lining up one of his shots.
When James Drake went and jumped off the ramp.
Yeah, and you could kind of see it in his eyes that he was lining up his shot type deal. And now there's nothing wrong with, of course this is a dangerous thing that he's doing. He's got to kind of do it safely. I'm not saying it like that. But you've seen a lot of people do a lot of dangerous shit throughout the 2 nights, and I didn't necessarily see that same kind of like, okay, hold on, I got to get my foot here before I jump, like look in their face. I don't know how to.
You didn't see the hesitation.
It wasn't necessarily a hesitation. It was just like a look of, okay, I have to hit this perfectly, but like a over planned. I don't know how to word it properly, but he had a look on his face that threw it off for me. But yeah,
I get what you mean.
Phantasmos and MSK. Those were definitely.
That said, the other guys, the UK guys, they have no idea what their names are. It's so funny.
Terrible with names, man.
That was the best part. That was what I was most looking forward going into this, because he doesn't watch wrestling regularly, and now he's watching, so he has no pre-bias. There's no like, fuck this guy, I don't like them. Like,
yeah.
It was awesome because he just watched it for what it was and just genuinely told me what he liked. That was one of the biggest reasons I wanted him to get on it, which is why I'm so excited to see what you think of WrestleMania, because it's not the best build-up for WrestleMania. We're going to get into the matches for WrestleMania real quick. Well, now that we've talked about the tag team title match, what are your thoughts, Kyle, on them now definitely building their next new star over there in NXT and Raquel Gonzalez taking the belt off of Io Shirai?
I kind of saw this one coming. It kind of just had that feel where, her time has come. Io's time has come. It's time to put the belt on somebody else. I like Io. I think she's amazing in the ring. I love the spots that she's willing to take. I mean, she's fearless. I mean, last year she jumps off the top of a cage with a trash can around her. I mean, that was the spot.
It does a backflip, no less.
Like that was the spot of the year. That was one of the funniest, craziest things I had seen in years. Like I cannot remember last time I laughed that hard at a wrestling match at something that was supposed to be taken serious, but it was just so funny just to see. I'm like, what the hell is she doing? And she's putting the trash can on her head. Okay. But yeah, I've enjoyed her title run. She's great. I've enjoyed the build that she's had. I've heard some rumors that maybe she might not be sticking around with the company. Wherever she goes, I'll watch her matches because she's amazing in the ring.
Is that damn good?
She's really good, man. Like she's
no. Is her contract up when you said that, Kyle? I'm sorry, I'm not aware of that.
I heard something about like it's a lot of different wrestlers that I guess they can do some extensions coming up because this is usually around the time that they would normally release people, but because of everything that's been going on, some people have been extended. They had a lot of downtime. Wherever she goes, I'm gonna watch.
Yeah.
And Raquel, Raquel's really good in the ring. Her personality from what I've seen so far to me, just in everything I've seen, it just doesn't grab my attention. Like, and not to keep comparing them to the golden age of NXT, but she's no Asuka, she's no Shayna, she's no Bailey, like just personality wise. So I think that's one thing that they really will need to do is build up her personality, not just have her come out there and just say the generic stuff in promos, but to show a little more of her personality. I think that will get her over a lot more because you can be great in the ring, but if you're boring on the mic, you're the next Lance Storm.
I can respect that, but I'm a little bit more optimistic when it comes to Raquel, and here's why. Because, number one, you now have a new star that doesn't have any, there's no preconceived bullshit or none of that. Plus, you already know with Dakota Kai being with her, it's basically going to eventually have to play out to the Shawn versus Diesel to where someone's going to go heel, and you know that someone that's going to go heel hopefully will be Dakota Kai. So I would hope that
Dakota for me is my favorite female in NXT. I love Dakota Kai.
I can't argue with that, and that's why I say, you talk about bringing somebody's personality out. Hopefully, in the story with them two, with the way, with the relationship that they have there, that can, bring some of that out in Raquel. But I definitely think that she's got the traits to be dominant. We'll see how she does as champion because I got a feeling that she might be carrying that belt for a while. But I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see where Io Shirai goes next. Let's see what we got here. What's the next match? The next match we had on night one.
Before you jump onto the next one, Kyle, because honestly, she was Io Shirai, correct? Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
EIO. Yes. Throw it in the bank. Yeah. That being, she like you said, man, she hit some spots. I wasn't aware of her contract thing going into it, obviously, but
I wasn't either. But
Kyle, breaking news over here.
If that's her match to go sell herself to go get a higher contract or whatever she may be looking for, whatever the case, that was the match to do it, man. From somebody like from the outside in, she was honestly my standout performer of the night one. She really put on, man. That spot at the end when she jumped off the skull and looked like she about blew her knee out on the grave.
Yeah.
And just the lack of, like I had pointed out with the boys from Liverpool, she had zero lineup fear. She had zero hesitation. She had full send go, zero doubt. She was on it, man. She really did leave a lasting impression. I hope that would be, honestly, from a non-wrestling fan, I guess you could say, somebody that I would honestly go back and kind of view their catalog of, to be honest with you. She was
it's worth it, man. Any match that she's in, whether it's a multi-woman match or just a one-on-one match, she steals the show. Like you said, like she's one of the biggest stars they have there right now.
Yeah, with her being so small too, and Raquel is obviously the much bigger girl and taller girl, and and she's going to be the smaller girl no matter who she wrestles, but she still makes it look good regardless of the size difference or the athleticism. So, I mean, she puts it on for a very small woman. She's very feisty, so that's not somebody I want to wrestle either. So yeah, just to throw that out there, she makes it look good no matter who she wrestles against.
Yeah, her performance earned a solid 10 out of 10 in my opinion. She looked great out there, man.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, after that, we got to see another past guest of this show out there doing his thing. But damn it, I want to see more of this dude on his own because he's so capable of so much more. And now that he's back in NXT, I hope that we can eventually see that when the way splits up, man. Because like I said, man, Austin Theory is a past guest of this show. Anyone who knows about his work when he was over there and Evolve knows that this dude has all the talent in the world, but he was out there with Johnny Gargano as Johnny Gargano. Johnny Gargano came out to mess with Bronson Reed tonight too. We'll get to that real quick while we're on the subject. But man, I thought they did a good job of building Bronson Reed as we talked about in the gauntlet. But also, I mean, I like the way that they did that from night 1 into night 2 because it at least helped build Bronson up a little bit. Like, okay, I watched this guy win the gauntlet, so there's a reason I want to see him fight Johnny. But I don't know, man. I think Bronson looked good, but what are your thoughts on Johnny as a heel, Kyle?
I've never been a fan of heel Johnny because I've just seen him be a babyface for so long. It's just to me like so much entrenched in his character. There are some people who are great going from heel to face, like Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens to me works great either way. He can be just that heel. You just want to see somebody throw him in a porta potty, or he can be the baby face, that he wants to save Sami Zayn from getting his ass kicked. Johnny is amazing in the ring. It's just I think I might want to see Johnny take some time off just to give me a little breather on him. Like I said the same thing about Seth Rollins back in 2019, the end part of 2019. I was done with Seth Rollins. Like I did not want to see him. As great as he is in the ring, it was just oversaturation. And I think Johnny is starting to get that way in NXT. He is Mr. NXT, and it's starting to drain on me because I'm not seeing him progress either way. If you're face or heel, it's just not progressing that much. So he was a great champion. I heard a lot of people going into the match that figured he was gonna lay down, and as great as the match it was, I think the title went to the person that needed the title.
So you think, okay. Man, and that's the thing. I thought, it was going to be a for sure, Bronson Reed's big deal, man. But, like I said, we'll have to see where we go out of this.
Yeah.
All right. Since we're into night 2, let's see. The next thing to really talk about is, Corey, this is something that you talked about. I really enjoyed the fact that there was a special set again. I think that's something that's been missing from WWE for a while, and that's something that you had touched on when you were talking about the entrances in wrestling versus the entrances in MMA, and that you feel like you'd like to see some of the pro wrestling side brought back into MMA. What did you think of the overall aesthetics of the event?
Aesthetics were very solid. Yeah, I did make that point, and I will continue to harp on it. Honestly, you've kind of seen Dana White even come out in interviews and say he just wants people to walk to the cage and take their gear off, and that's it. But that really showcases personality for these fighters, man. It really does. Just the song choice alone goes to show a lot about somebody.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't have to necessarily be in a main event spot to get that extra minute and a half of time to, on the camera, in my opinion. And, like the big screens and stuff like that, you've seen it with like One Championship does it with like the screen backgrounds and stuff.
Yeah.
You've seen it with like Bellator and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one thing production wise that they do have better over UFC. And I'm surprised with all the money and everything and all the emphasis they put on trying to constantly build and turn around stars. That's the biggest flaw, in my opinion, man. Like, people still talk about the walkouts that Israel Adesanya did a couple of years back.
Yeah.
It really stood up to people, and it was just an extra minute and a half on a pay-per-view. You know, like people are already paying to watch this stuff. They're entertained, obviously, enough to buy it and go out of their way on a Saturday night. Give us what we want. I mean, in my opinion, that's what I want. So,
Yeah, like even back in the day with CM Punk when he actually did, fight, he came out to Cult of Personality just like he did in WWE. It gave it a feel like the first when I heard of him going to UFC, I said it. I'm like, if he doesn't come out to Cult of Personality, I don't want to see him come out. And first fight, I think it was the one in Cleveland, or was that the second one? I forget.
It was Chicago.
It was Chicago. Yeah, that's good fun.
And he comes out as a Cult of Personality. And I'm like, that automatically had me invested because I'm like, okay, that brings that familiar feel. Even going into boxing, Adrian Broner has amazing entrances. He has the gear, he has the guys with him. He just has a vibe that he brings.
Deontay Wilder does too.
Yeah, so you have to do that. I mean, it's all showmanship. I mean, all of it comes from wrestling. I mean, Muhammad Ali based his Muhammad Ali alter ego off of Gorgeous George. It all goes back to wrestling and the theatrics and the personality. And I mean, if you want to sell this fight, I can see somebody in the back alley knock somebody out. What is making a difference seeing these guys in the octagon? It's that personality. It's the guys that are talking crap. I mean, you need another Conor McGregor, somebody you want to see get knocked the hell out. Right. Having to come out there to, music and themes, showing personality is only going to net you new fans, especially in TikTok and, Instagram and stuff. Those little small bites, that entrance can get you another 4 or 5 people that are going to spend $60 to watch your pay-per-view.
Sure.
I can't argue that at all, man. That's something I wanted to talk about because in the next match that we had to talk about, you got Karrion Kross versus Finn Balor, and I would argue that Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux have one of the dopest entrances of all of wrestling right now. So, I mean, you want to talk about the art of an entrance. Look, dude, between the theme song and the way they do the lights and the smoke, and then a big part of that entrance, let's not take for granted, Scarlett makes that entrance, bro.
Yeah, she does.
The way she moves around and goes with the song and the fall and pray thing and like all that shit. Bro, Scarlett Bordeaux is a lot of what makes that entrance work. But, dude, like I said, in my opinion, that is one of the best entrances in wrestling. And then Finn Balor, I want to know when we're going to see the Demon again. A few times they mentioned that the Demon could come back. I didn't expect it in this match, but I definitely would like to see the Demon back. All of you guys that are joining the stream, I appreciate you. Let us know in the comments. Do you want to see the Demon come back to NXT, or are you cool with the regular Finn Balor? Let us know what you guys are thinking in the comments. I don't know, man. All in all, I thought this match was hard hitting, but it really weird spot for booking for WWE when you think about it. Because, all right, who do we got? CM Punk wish he could come back. I am with you on that one.
Oh, I thought you were talking MMA personally, so I was like, no.
I would love to see CM Punk come back and wrestle. I don't want to see him fight again, but I would totally be cool with seeing him come back to wrestle.
Wrestling, absolutely. MMA, no, you stay away from that. Don't even get nowhere near it. Go ahead, Kyle. Sorry.
No, you're all good, man. But in this match, man, it was real hard hitting. But like I said, they had a real hard spot for booking when you think about it, because you got a guy in Karrion Kross who never lost the title. Right. And then you got Finn Balor, who, as far as NXT champion goes, Kyle, I think you would agree. I would say when you're talking about top NXT champions, Finn has to be one of those.
Yeah.
The Mount Rushmore of NXT champions. Yeah, that's even from his first run. I would have put him up there. Now after this run
alone, dude.
Now after this one, where it's been Finn Balor, but it's been a lot of Bullet Club Prince Devitt. So, yeah, he's up there. I've always been a Finn fan. I honestly, if it was my company, he would be a top 3 guy I would push in the whole company. Like, he has that amazing in-ring acumen. He's got crossover appeal. There's nothing he can't do when it comes to wrestling, whether it's on microphone, in the ring, making others look good matches. I mean, his match versus The Fiend and The Fiend's debut match, it was a squash match, and it didn't take anything off of him. So he instantly makes others better in the ring. So as far as I'm concerned, Finn can do no wrong. Cross, I like him.
I'm a big fan of Cross.
I mean, it almost gets to be like, okay, I really do want to see how great you can be in this ring, because it was at a point for a while for me. It was almost like, yeah, you're a great entrance, but this match, I think a lot to do with Finn doing some great work too, actually elevated that match, because this could have just been a big guy just beating up another guy match, but I think this match was elevated because Finn was in it. You could have got Johnny Gargano, you could have got Tommaso Ciampa, you could have got somebody else in that same spot versus Cross, and I don't think the match would have been that great. I think Finn really did elevate this match.
I agree with you on that point, by the way. That it, to me, was pretty apparent as well. I kind of like leading into the way that the ending and stuff had played out. I kind of had seen it coming as well. Like you said, even just kind of from the way that they played the walkouts and stuff, it almost kind of. I mean, I hate to keep harping on it, but even you guys have pointed it out. He is a good walkout, but it seemed like the action was more on the other side, in my opinion, man. It was definitely a mutual dance, and I don't use that in like a bad term. I use it as they were both, going with each other. But yeah, it was. You could definitely. I 100% agree with you. He really made the match look good, even in a losing effort. I really felt.
Hyden, what about you, man? Because you, like me, I loved the damn Spartan trunks.
Oh, man,
I
bro,
almost had a pair of those when I was still boxing. I swear to God, I did.
Man, so to Kyle's point, I can see where you're coming from with Finn making the match, which I can agree with. However, Karrion Kross, like what Corey was saying, the final boss is Walter. That is my final boss. That is not a guy I want to fight or even beat in the game. It's going to take me months for me to try and beat that guy in the game. However, whatever it's going to take. So everything about him specifically screams star to me. Everything about him. He's big. He's 6'4", almost 270 pounds. He's great on the mic. He's got the intimidation factor in him. Like if I saw him walking down the street, I don't even want to look at the guy. Like I don't even want to shake his hand. Like he's just intimidating to me. You know what I mean? So, and the Spartan shorts, when I saw those, I said, this is game over. That means you're out for war. So, and I'm a big fan of Assassin's Creed, so they have those little shorts on there with the game. So we won't get into that. But the match itself was great. I mean, Finn, as a technical wrestler as he is, made it look, really good against, a giant guy like Karrion Kross. And Karrion Kross did his load of the work as well. But overall, I watched the match twice. I loved it. At the end with him, throwing the elbows and things to knock him out. Had the MMA appeal to it a little bit. He is an MMA guy himself. So you told me about that earlier. Yeah. And I was shocked. I can't say I was shocked, but he has an MMA background, obviously shows in the matches. So he transitions in that very well into wrestling with the suplexes and, with the choke and, and whatnot. So I personally, everything about him screams a star to me. And I hope they really use him, at some point really, really well, to kind of maximize his potential. So everything about his entrance, his physique, obviously look at the guy, but yeah, he's great all over. Yeah, no, not at all. It's just everything about him looks great. And Finn Balor, man, I didn't want anyone to lose because I'm a fan of both. I'm a big fan of both.
See, but those are the best matches, man, because you're like, fuck, I don't want either of these dudes to lose.
Yeah, so at the end of the result, when I saw Finn hit the match finish, I was like, oh, that's right there. But I thought, Karrion would win it, but I just didn't know how, the fashion would be. But yeah, everything about himself, I told Kyle, I was like, that guy's special. I was like, he's an animal. I was like, that, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I watched it twice. I was blown away by him. So, I mean, it was a fantastic match. Probably my favorite match of the whole weekend, to be honest with you, me personally.
All right. So before we get to the last match of the night and then cross over into our WrestleMania predictions, like I said, man, I feel like overall NXT did stand and deliver like they said they would do. Had it clunks and things like that, But now we're getting to the match where I would say most people were tuning in to watch. And if you guys are watching in the stream, please let us know in the comments, what was your favorite match at TakeOver? What match was it that was making you tune in and want to watch this? But for me and for most people, I mean, I would say Walter versus Ciampa was my favorite match, but I would say out of matches that were making me want to watch it, the match between Cole and O'Reilly was it.
Yeah.
But again, we're talking about entrances. What the fuck was the entrance music?
I said
Really?
the same thing.
How did we go from the Undisputed Era song, which was the shit, to what we got? Like, damn it. Like, I was expecting something more like hard rock for Kyle O'Reilly, with as much as they had him wearing, he was wearing Metallica shirts and everything else, and like how he does his whole air guitar thing. I'm like, although the entrance for Kyle was dope. But
yeah,
then for Kyle or for Adam Cole, why couldn't Adam Cole have kept the Undisputed Era song the same way?
That's
Roman
what I was
kept
thinking
the Shield
too.
song?
He does the Adam Cole baby. I was like, it doesn't work.
It is funny that
I don't want to hear that.
you let Roman Reigns keep the Shield's music, but you don't let Adam Cole keep the Undisputed Era's music when his name is almost a part of the theme song.
Pretty
much, yeah. That was something that stuck out to me right away. But again, I will say a really cool entrance for Kyle O'Reilly, dude. He was really doing the damn thing. But dude, it was a hard-hitting match. But Kyle, this is something I wanted to, ask you about more so, I guess, when you come back. But yeah, I know right when I'm about to throw him a question. Oh, please, all right. But Corey, I know you mentioned that you thought that this match went a little bit long. Mm-hmm. What were your overall thoughts on Cole versus O'Reilly?
Well, my thoughts on why it went long and why I was left with that opinion was the fact that there was moments of action, but they would end up in the stunned position for too long. In my opinion. They played into that for a little bit too long and quite a few phases, and that kind of really added to the overall length of the match, in my opinion. But honestly, it was a very entertaining match. But I honestly feel like the wrestling matches are more easily digestible when they're in like the 10-minute mark compared to that one. Probably went roughly about 20 minutes, 25 maybe even. It just felt like it was getting long in moments. That was my only real complaint with it. Other than that, man, it was. I felt like from the outside in, I seen why everybody was so hyped on like the match between the two people and stuff. But like for performance wise, I felt like there was other matches that outshined it performance wise, in my opinion.
So that was something that I saw a lot on Twitter. A lot of people were saying they thought that it had gone on a little long. Izzy even mentioned that, like I said, on Busted Open this morning, that she felt like that one kind of went on a little bit long. But Hyden, for you, you've watched wrestling. So what are your thoughts on Cole versus O'Reilly? Because I know you were an Adam Cole fan.
Yeah, I am still an Adam Cole fan. Undisputed Era sucks that they had to break up, but that's another discussion for another day. But what Corey was saying, it was a little long, but considering the rivalry, considering the type of match it is, unsanctioned match, I can't say I'm all that surprised at it. Because unsanctioned could mean they could go in the parking lot or the backstage or wherever wherever the hell they want to go.
Or wear jeans.
Yeah, whatever you want.
I saw so many people bitching because they didn't wear jeans. I'm like, it is
honestly, it was one of my
man.
things. I'm like, this is the first unsanctioned match where somebody's just wearing the regular attire. Like even a couple years ago when Gargano and Ciampa had it, that's when Ciampa started breaking out the fatigue pants. I'm like, wow, you guys just gotta have unsanctioned match in your regular gear. That's lame.
I mean, not everyone can be John Cena wearing, jean shorts, but whatever. Yeah, I mean, it was a really good match for what it was. Was it my favorite one? I personally, I wanted to see it, but was it one that I was all that hyped about? I will tell you honestly, not really. I know the Karrion Kross match was more hype, and then other matches I was looking more forward to, but it was a great match for what it was. Could have been a little bit better in some areas, probably, but I'm not going to sit here and complain about it because when you say unsanctioned, it can be a long match. I don't expect it to be really short, or really quick. The build up to it, obviously, with the rivalry and, how everything happened and, their history and whatnot. So I can see how that all played out that way. But near the end, it was a little bit longer than what I anticipated, but I can see why it went like that at the same time. So I can see both sides, really. I'm not going to be, a Twitter guy and complain about it, but, that's just how I think of it.
Kyle, how do you think it ultimately played out with that match?
I think it was a good match. It was the one I was looking forward to. It didn't necessarily live up to my expectations. Seeing the Undisputed Era break up, seeing Kyle just be really the ace of NXT in 2020 after the breakup, it just didn't give me what I was expecting. And that's still not saying that it wasn't a great match. I get that they were going for a Marty Shawn, a Gargano Ciampa type feel, but I just didn't get that. Like, my favorite feud of the last half decade is Gargano versus Ciampa.
Yeah.
Like, those
Can't argue it.
matches.
Ring the bell.
just
I was in the
had-
building for half them bitches.
Yeah, so just seeing those,
Yeah.
it just had a feel like, yes, the crowd did play into it, but just the story, the long form booking of it. This one, I almost feel that they shouldn't have done it this soon after the breakup, even though they've broken up, for a while. I think stretching this match out would have actually helped it. Having this match this soon, to me, kind of dilutes it, because now where do they go from here? Do they try to do a rematch? Do they do the rubber match? Do you try to throw in more members of the Undisputed Era? I think if you're gonna break up the best stable you've had probably since the Shield, and maybe you can say they were better than the Shield because all the members held the gold and
Longevity
there was
wise,
no weak link. Back in the original Shield, Roman was the weak link. He was the powerhouse, but he was the weak link. He's grown, but that was the weak link there. In the Undisputed Era, there's nobody that was a weak link in there. So I feel that it was just a little too soon.
Sure.
And because of that, it just did not live up to that type of build. Still, it was a good match, but I was a little deflated from watching it.
Okay.
All right. Well, those are our overall thoughts on NXT TakeOver. I think we can all agree that overall it was still a great show, which I didn't really expect anything less from TakeOver because, like I said, man, TakeOver for the most part has delivered on every occasion.
Yeah, I standard too.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
And it's standard too.
Yeah, man, and that's the thing, standard and delivered.
Delivered. Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, we do have, the biggest night of the year for wrestling going on. It's the biggest 2 nights this year. But let's get into that a little bit and talk about our little bit of predictions for that. Corey, while I pull up the match card real quick, you haven't watched a WrestleMania in a real long fucking time. So
bless your heart.
How are you feeling going into WrestleMania? What are your thoughts as we go into the biggest night of the year for wrestling?
Well, all right. So that's I keep hearing you guys keep having the talk of your final boss, I guess you could say. And my match I'm most looking forward to is Bobby Lashley, man. He looks like my version of a final boss to me, man.
There's another one. Yeah.
Ripped, jacked. And from everything I've been hearing from you, Kyle, he's been on a pretty meteoric rise through the promotion. And from what I've been able to see on socials and stuff like that, he looks like he deserves it beyond just the physique and stuff like that. So
for sure,
I'm genuinely excited for that match. As for the rest, it's more of like you said, they didn't have a ton of build or anything like that, and I am kind of trying to go into it blind because I feel like that is part of the fun of it. Is the uneducated going into it and leaving my opinion from that. But yeah, that's definitely my match that stands out the most to me. I'm excited to see with what the production is beyond the NXT, because obviously they went pretty balls out for the NXT, but that's still not Mania. So I'm excited to see what they do for the actual like big bad show itself. I'm hoping that it lives up a little more than what you guys are all saying with the lack of promotion and stuff that's been out there, but
it's still WrestleMania. Don't get it
It's
twisted.
still- that's what
Motherfuckers
I'm
are
saying.
still gonna go balls out.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's still Mania. It's still like their flagship night. You know,
It's a Super
and
Bowl
now
for
it's
wrestling.
2 nights.
Yeah.
You know, so even more so, they have the ability to spread it out and kind of keep your attention throughout the day. You know, throughout the days. So I'm excited. It's going to be an interesting way to spend a weekend. That's for sure. I am genuinely excited though.
All right. Well, let's get into some of this card, man. Night 1, we've got, as Corey mentioned, we've got Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre in the main event. But before we get to that, you've got tag team turmoil, the Riot Squad versus Lana and Naomi versus Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose versus Natalia and Tamina Snuka. If I can spit it out.
man.
Jesus Christ.
I'm waiting.
Like, shit, that was a lot of names to have to spit out. But
You could have
Yeah,
kept
man.
that shit on SmackDown, man.
this is another one where it's like I feel like the women's
Meh.
tag team division, dude, has just kind of gone down. But I'm hoping that maybe out of this we can maybe see, depending on who can win this one, you know, maybe they can do the same thing like NXT tried to do with Bronson Reed from night 1 to night 2. Personally, I know it's a dark horse pick and I don't really know if they're going to win, but since we're making picks for all these things, I would really like to see the Riot Squad get the dub in this one. I would really like to see the Riot Squad get the dub because they're the biggest tag team out of that group.
They're the only tag team that's really in it outside the champions. I mean, you had the Iconics, and then you broke them up, and then did nothing with Peyton.
At all.
The longest reign, the longest tenured women's tag team you had, a legit tag team, and then anyway.
I got nothing.
I honestly don't care. Let the Riot Squad get it. Let Ruby have her moment. She's worked hard.
Hyden, how are you feeling going into that tag match?
I don't want to say as bad as Kyle. Am I looking forward to it all that much? Probably not that much, but
You ain't got a bullshit, man. All these matches on here.
Hey, listen, I'm not the type that likes to make all the prediction for WrestleMania. I just like to watch whoever wins, right? But for this one, if I had to just take a wild guess, I'll say Natalia and Tamina.
Just they're a badass team, but I don't know what they were doing when they picked their attire.
But because I think, you know, Tamina is, you know, bigger girl that can match with Nia, and then Natalia is always there. Obviously, she's a little bit more of an aggressive. You know, she's a little bit more. Yeah, I say a little more aggressive. You know, now with team up with Tamina, so I probably say with them, just matchup wise, I think it would be good. But
wasn't Natalia in a tag team with Lana and Naomi at 2 different points also? Am I remembering that wrong?
Lana, yeah, for like 2 days.
Why can't Natty just be on her own? Damn it! Like, she's one of the best ones you got in the whole fucking company. I just don't understand that. Like, why can't Natty just be on her own? She's also a multiple-time world champion. I don't know.
She is the
last
by the
female person to graduate the dungeon. I don't know, man. I feel like Natty gets hoed a lot, but let's get to a match that I'm actually interested to see how it plays out. It's a match that many of you guys, if you've been following them since before their WWE days, might have seen back in the day in Ring of Honor when you had one Tyler Black versus Claudio Castagnoli. But now we're seeing it in a total new incarnation in Seth Rollins versus Cesaro on the big stage at WrestleMania. Kyle, what are your thoughts on this match?
Please let Cesaro win. please let him win. Like, just keep the push going, man. Like, on SmackDown, I love Roman as the final boss, which technically he is the head of the table, the boss. But I need the next people under him to be Big E and Cesaro. Yeah, Seth is Seth, but I need look, you got him. Everybody says he's pound for pound one of the best wrestlers in your company. He's in the top 5 of the best wrestlers in the history of the company who have never held a world title. Keep pushing him. Keep pushing him. Keep pushing him. I need Cesaro to win this match.
I'm with you on that one, and it has all the potential for it to be a great match too, man. Like, that's the thing. Like, these two in a ring, if you let them go and give them time, I'm telling you, dude. Corey, if there were matches for me to point out to you on WrestleMania, this is one of the ones that I feel like you will like, especially with you being more of an MMA guy. Seth Rollins isn't necessarily an MMA guy, but I mean just based upon the action content that you should get and the technical ability of both guys, I feel like that's going to be a match that you personally would be looking forward to. In that match, I really agree with you, Kyle. I'm hoping Cesaro can get the dub because I don't think a loss, even if it being at WrestleMania, really hurts Seth Rollins. Then let's get to the match that I think is fucking dumb, even though I like Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon versus Braun Strowman. I mean, if they would have done a better job building it, I would have been a lot more happy about it. And
no, I don't want Shane.
Just not...
I don't want Shane.
I really don't care for it either, to be honest with you. I agree, it's dumb, but I don't know what they're doing with this. I really don't.
It makes no sense. And then the choo-choo train, when he runs around the ring, I don't understand it.
Oh God, that's horrible.
There's for wrestling terms, there's heat, which is what you want a heel to have. You want people to boo them. Then there's go away heat, where look, we don't want to see you, like you're annoying. Then there's X-Pac heat, where the people in the back don't like you also. Then there's Nia Jax heat, where nobody feels safe when you're in the ring because something bad is probably going to happen. And then there's Shane McMahon heat, where look, I'm actively turning off my television when you're on. And that's what Shane has. I turn off my TV. I skip ahead. I do not want to see him, period. I'm good on Shane.
Fast forward on that one. My God.
I'm good on Shane.
I mean, I'm a big Braun Strowman fan and was when they were building him up. But, dude, just the way they've let him go in the hole, I can't even hold you up. I'm not super excited for this match other than the fact that I'm sure Shane is going to find a way to do some kind of crazy ass shit, which that'll be cool, but it's almost gotten to the point where you expect it in every match too.
Exactly.
But Shane doesn't wrestle much anymore either. So it's kind of like, when he comes out, you got to pull out all the stops. All right. Now, Corey, this is one that I kind of want to know your thoughts being from the outside. So we've got the hip hop Puerto Rican sensation and Stacy Sparkles, who's been checking us out. We appreciate you.
Agreed.
She said that's going to be a horrible match too. I can't really argue with you. I think we're all kind of in the same boat with that one. But
that's the even though it's on Peacock, that's the bathroom match.
At least I can skip that if I watch on a replay. So you got that, Kyle, for sure. I'm gonna fast forward that boy. Next.
All right, Corey, what are your thoughts on them bringing in Bad Bunny to face the Miz here? Do you think it's a good thing from being somebody from the outside? Corey, you're, like I said, not the biggest wrestling fan, but a lot of people know who Bad Bunny is. And then having him on Raw all these weeks, along with having him perform, I do believe it brings more eyes. But, Justin from the group said it best. He was like, really, the Miz gets Bad Bunny. But then again, what else was he going to do? So what are your thoughts on Bad Bunny coming in to face the Miz here?
Well, all right. Let me preference the fact with the first 2 times that you had told me about the fact that, the celebrities making the crossover and this Bad Bunny character and stuff making it his way.
This Bad Bunny character.
Well, first off,
that is his name when he raps. I mean, that.
Well, the reason why I say it like that is for some reason when you said Bad Bunny or whatever the fuck, I thought you were talking about the fucking Catch Me Outside girls fucking. So I'm like,
that's Babby. That's that Babby, bro.
I could see that. She's got that personality.
Oh Lord have mercy.
So the first 2.
Wait until she turns 18, then she'll probably be on WrestleMania.
That's who I thought we were talking about.
Oh God, please no.
I followed up.
They got Logan Paul,
I seen some shit on Twitter, and I was like, Oh, that is not at all who I had thought we were. All right, my whole conversation was completely like null and void. I think I had even said like she a couple times, and you just kind of let it go in one ear and out the other. But
Jesus Christ.
with all that being laid on the table, I'm always interested in the celebrity matches, man. I am, because of the fact that like somebody transitioning into something that they've maybe wanted to do since they were a child or whatever the case, or even if it's something as simple as maybe they want to get some hype on their name or something like that, they're still going to try to go out there and perform, man. Like I was a huge fan outside of the wrestling world of the Pat McAfee thing, and I bring that up multiple times because that's one thing that did kind of bring me into some form of wrestling in the last couple of years, is his short stint in wrestling. He looked really good.
Pretty damn good. I got to give credit where it's due.
He looked really good.
And that was actually booked for a while too, because him and Adam Cole had gone back and forth on pre-shows, just little jabs and stuff for the last like couple years. So that was a good like slow build for that one.
Yeah, man. Like it garnered attention from people that weren't necessarily wrestling fans to go at least see what the hell he was doing in it. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's the same type of deal. But even people like me who aren't necessarily familiar with the character themselves, maybe think they are a complete different person, they're still interested to see the way the match plays out. And that's where I am. I'm excited to see the celebrity matches are always fun. You see the wrestler kind of play into the shortcomings, I guess you could say, of the celebrity. And then you could sometimes see celebrities really go out there and shine. So it's going to be exciting.
All right, Kyle, how much do you think? I mean, we all know that Bad Bunny has a huge presence in Puerto Rico and things like that as well. And I mean, he's known well here in the States as well. How much do you think this helps out WWE from a mainstream standpoint? And let's not forget that match has now been changed to Bad Bunny and Damian Priest versus The Miz and John Morrison. I think that this could really help Damian Priest out. But damn, how did John Morrison, even on his return, get bit with being the crash test dummy for the celebrity match like he was when Snooki came to WrestleMania?
You know, it's really sad, man, because like what was about a year and a half ago when we heard that he was a free agent and he was probably going to sign with WWE. I'm like, you know what? I like that. John Morrison back in WWE, just throw him in NXT, let him be that cool heel that he was before, let him get people over. I'm fine with that. Like that's a perfect niche because you're probably not going to push him high up on the card. Okay, that's fine. Not everybody can be a world champion. I'm cool with that. If you're not going to do that, that's a good fit for him. And you do even worse. You just put him as the Miz's sidekick. That's all he's been since he's been back. Yes, they're best friends in real life. Great chemistry on camera. That's cool. But it is just a waste. Like it's just a waste of talent. The guy has been the face of other wrestling companies, and he's the sidekick to the Miz. And I'm a fan of the Miz for what he is. He's a throwback to a good heel. He's safe in the ring. He's great on the mic. I actually popped hard when he cashed in his Money in the Bank because I'm like, okay, look, Drew's been doing a good job, but this injects a good shot of adrenaline into the world title picture, and then a week later he loses the title to Bobby Lashley. I'm like, yeah, I love seeing Bobby with the title finally, but damn, I feel sorry for the Miz because he was just a transitional champion. They wasted Money in the Bank again, but we know the Miz is gonna lose. It's probably gonna be Morrison that takes the pin. Bad Bunny, from everything I've heard, has been completely professional and respectful backstage. So I give all the credit in the world. If I was in the same spot as him, I'd be doing the exact same thing. But it's like,
I'm with you on that one. I'm kind of in the same boat. So here's the question. Do you really give a shit about this tag team title match?
Nah.
Here's my thing. This is the one thing that stands out with WrestleMania this year for me. Since when did you just get to show up and get title matches in your first match on
Ronda
a brand?
Rousey.
That's different. She had reason to get it, though.
Did she?
She did, though. She does coming into it. The same reason if Mike Tyson ever wanted to get in the ring, I ain't got no problem with that motherfucker getting a shot at the title. But not now necessarily. But I'm just saying, if we're talking like maybe when he came in with Stone Cold like that, I had no problem with Ronda doing it because she could still get in the ring and go at the time. But dude, like almost, we've never seen the guy. The guy's what, 7'5". Stacy coming in the clutch again, telling us no, she doesn't give a shit about this match either.
How tall is Almost?
I have no clue, but he's like Jack and the Beanstalk type tall.
Yeah, I mean you can't teach that.
Yeah, you can't teach that.
He was a college basketball player, so I mean, figures he's that tall.
Corey, it's a guy of your ilk. You would like the guy's height, but to be honest, man, him and AJ versus the New Day here, I'm not. I got nothing, man, because like the New Day is one of the best tag teams they've had over the last 10 years, bar none. And I'm not saying that I don't think Almost could be something good for them, but your first match is at WrestleMania, and it's a tag team title match, and you've never even been in the ring on Raw.
Yeah, that's an interesting move. You'd think, especially with Mania and stuff, you'd think they'd build into it and have them. Yeah, that makes no sense. That even from an outsider's perspective, that really doesn't make sense, honestly.
I just, I respect what AJ is trying to do, trying to help the young guy out, man, but I can't lie. I'm not really looking forward to that one. But let's talk about a match that I am looking forward to see how it plays out. I think they fumbled the story with this one, but the match itself, I'm definitely looking forward to. Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. And Stacy, since you're the only female in this room, I can't tell who else is watching. So if I'm wrong, please let me know. What are your thoughts on Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks? Kyle, I'll go to you first. What are you thinking about Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair?
To use a football analogy, we've all watched at least a game of football. You ever seen the quarterback drops back, throws the bomb up there, guy gets off the cornerback or safety, wide open, ball goes right between his hands. That's what this one is for me. They had a surefire touchdown. You have the face of your women's division through both companies and Sasha Banks, and the future of your women's division in Bianca Belair. Triple H's his girl. Like the last time he had somebody that he had his fingerprints on this much was probably Sasha. These are two Triple H picked proteges. The emotion I had in the Royal Rumble when the last two were my two favorite women in WWE with Bianca and Rhea. And I didn't want either to lose. I wanted both to win. I'm like, well, hell, can we do a split? Giving it to Bianca. I felt it emotionally as a black man. I felt it emotionally to see that. I have a lot of friends who are not wrestling fans who were overcome with emotion, seeing a black woman get that type of push and that display that type of emotion. I was really excited for that. And just the build for this one is my biggest gripe of this WrestleMania. This should have been your marquee. This could have been the main event. If you just had one night, this could have been the main event. You have the future and you have the past right there. And they just dropped the ball.
But do you think the match, though, is going to just live up to it and make up for it, though? Because
Sasha's going to sell her ass off. That's Sasha's going to make Bianca look really good. Bianca is going to overwhelm us with her sheer athleticism. She's going to lift something heavy. I know that. It's going to probably be a great match. And I think if the build had have been handled better, it could have been referred to as an all-time classic match. Like it could have been the bar setter going forward. Like real quick, one of the bar setters we all talk about from being old school wrestling fans was Lita and Trish on Monday Night Raw getting a women's main event. That's what pushed women's wrestling forward. That's what got Paige, AJ Lee, Sasha, all of them interested in wrestling. Had the build have been better and just more developed, this, even with a subpar in-ring match, could have just elevated it that much more. So I wish it could have been a better build, so I could have loved the build a little more.
What up, Ty? I see you in the comments. I'm assuming it's my cousin Tyler coming in over there on YouTube. Tyler, what's the last WrestleMania you watched, man? Let me know in the comments if you've watched any of them. My question for you guys, man, is like Kyle said, man, this match was definitely one that I was really looking forward to, man.
Sure.
I feel like what bit them in the ass with this match is they kind of went the same storyline with like 3 of the title matches. I was talking to Corey about this. My problem with that is that, dude, by you having them do the 2 tag team title matches, why could, Dave LaGreca, who, for those of you who don't know, Stacy, you being a female fan, you should listen in real close to this. We are your sponsors for MPW Locked and Loaded, which is the all-female brand by one Thunder Rosa, who you could see coming to a show real soon. But, Dave LaGreca talks about this a lot on Busted Open, but I have said this for years. Why do we have to have all the extra pay-per-views in between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania? I feel like that would give you a good 2 or 3 month chunk where you could build up everything that you're going to do leading up to WrestleMania. You don't need to have like the big blow off at these pay-per-view matches. And Corey, this goes back to something that you said when we were talking about the NXT takeover stuff, in that you haven't watched a lot of the weekly shows, so you didn't get to see, all the buildup for Cole versus O'Reilly and the stories that went into it. You said you want to see more mic time, which most of that happens on a weekly show. Here's the thing, dude. If you cut out, those other pay-per-views, that gives you essentially 12 weeks to build up everything that you've got on WrestleMania. I don't know, man. There was a lot more they could have done with this, especially with this being, like Kyle said, I mean, it's a historic, it's going to be one of the main events, or, well, not one of the main events, but it's going to be one of the women's title matches. You've got Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks, man. You really could have done something cool with the build-up. I still think it's going to be a great match, but I feel like there could have been much more done to build this one up. All right.
And real quick, my thing about that is the Asuka Charlotte match and this one have the exact same storyline.
And that was my whole point. They did the whole tag team title shit. You know what I mean?
Like,
and I don't.
You have the best women's division in wrestling, and you book the exact same storyline. Like, I don't understand how you can do that on purpose. Like, how do you literally have the same exact, even almost the same promos on Monday and Friday between Shayna and Nia with just 2 other people across them? It's just, that's unbelievable.
All right, well, let's get to the main event. Corey, this was the match that you said you're most looking forward to in night 1. Here's the question. How are you feeling about this Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre match? Do you think Bobby Lashley is going to hold on to this belt here?
I hope so, because he is obviously the one I'm more familiar with out of the 2. But I do genuinely hope so. He from what I've seen in his rise and stuff, he's looked entertaining, even in his like heel rolls and moments and stuff like that. He's looked good, man. Reason, like I said, why I personally am most excited for this is because, like you guys alluded to, he is from my money, he closest body wise, I guess, to like a Brock Lesnar or something that wrestling's seen in a while. And that type of stuff really garners.
That's the match we all want to see, Corey, is Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. Shit, I've been saying that since 2007, but hey.
And that's the thing, like, they have the MMA background, they have the collegiate background, like, that's just that match is literally $1 million match right there.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I just hope to God that at some point we can see that. But
oh man,
do you guys? So do you, Kyle and Hyden? Hyden, I'll ask you since you've been quiet for a little bit. Do you think we're going to see Bobby be a transitional champion and drop that belt back to Drew on Sunday or on Saturday? Excuse me.
I have a feeling it might be that way. I don't know why. I just have that feeling that Drew's going to get it back because of, when he lost and then how it got to Bobby is a sour taste in his mouth, obviously. So I think it might lean that way. But if they had Bobby, still the champ, I'm great with that too. I mean, he it's hard to not watch him wrestle or fight or whatever case may be. I mean, look at the guy. Who wouldn't be entertained? You know what I mean? So yeah, hopefully, he'll still keep it. But if it transitions over to Drew, I wouldn't be too upset.
So Tyler coming in hot. Tyler's got a couple of comments over there on YouTube. He said the last WrestleMania he remembers watching was WrestleMania 28 was the last one he remembers most of. But I know what Tyler was talking about in his other comment. I met Bobby Lashley when I was 12. His bicep was as big as me. Tyler, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that right before WrestleMania when didn't they come bowling over at Score Lanes? Was that where you met him at? Let me know in the comments if that was where you met him, because I distinctly remember that. For those of you who don't remember, I always get a little emotional when we're talking about that WrestleMania because we're talking about WrestleMania 23, which was here in Detroit at Ford Field. I got to go to that one with my pops, and there's actually a spot in that show that I can pause it at every time it comes on because you can see down the row, if you look, you can see my dad, me, and my buddy Travis that we all grew up with, Corey. You can see us all right down the line. And now that my dad has passed on, man, WrestleMania 23 always holds a special place in my heart. And I was correct. They did meet at the bowling alley. The question is, did you see how fucking big of shoes that sumbitch had to get? Because that son of a bitch has got clown feet just like I got and just like Corey's got. And my cousin Brian worked there at the time. Yeah, like I said, man, it's WrestleMania 23 had a lot of stuff for me. For me, man, I don't know. I'm really torn on this one. I really would like to see Bobby Lashley keep the title, but because of the way COVID really fucked up Drew's reign, I could really see Drew McIntyre taking the belt right back from him. If I got to pick one, I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre on this one. Kyle, who are you picking on this one?
I think this is a very precarious spot for WWE. You really can't afford for Bobby to lose this, because if he does, that means you would have had 2 transitional champions in 3 months between Drew's reigns. That to me kind of devalues the title because it overprotects Drew. Drew was protected because of the Money in the Bank cash in. He didn't fight Bobby. He got jumped by Bobby after the match with Goldberg, and then the Miz cashed in. Okay, that protects the champion. He didn't officially really lose. If you then have Miz lose to Bobby and then Bobby lose to Drew, it just devalues it to me. So I like Drew. I really feel so sorry for him having to have his big moment, no fans there. The whole COVID thing completely ruined his reign. I think he has the potential to be the face of the company. He's got everything you need in a pro wrestler. He has been Vince's chosen one for over a decade. But I think even though you have him there, I think you have to let Bobby keep this title. You have to build up Bobby because you don't just have to have 1 or 2 guys at the top. I mean, the Attitude Era is the reason we all loved it so much, is because there were so many guys there that either were world champion or could have been a world champion. And they need to start building multiple faces. Just having one guy at the top, we saw that with Cena, and that's why his run has always been so divisive. I think you need to keep it on Bobby and just let Bobby and Drew build a all-time great feud. Try to make them into the next Rock Austin. That's why the Rock and Austin were so great, because they countered off each other. Do that with Drew and Bobby. Keep it on Bobby. Wait until you have a big stadium, even more full of fans, and then maybe take it off him. But let him have a good title reign.
Okay, so I'm seeing you guys in the comments. Before I give my thoughts on what I think with that, Tyler coming in. My cousin Brian was a big ass dude. Okay, everybody on my dad's side of the family, he was a size 15 and his feet were bigger than that. So Bobby Lashley's a big son bitch. We all knew that, but just if you needed any clarification, and we've got the world's biggest knockouts and 3 count span, the man who's got the KO3 seed license plate. What up, though, Ed? What up, though, Ed? I keep hearing about you from my buddy John, who works over there with you at GM, man. But Ed has been rocking with us since the beginning. And yes, you heard me right. The man has KO3C fan as his motherfucking license plate. So you, for now and forevermore, will be the biggest knockouts and 3 counts fan. And I don't know about you, Kyle, but all I can say is I appreciate you, my guy.
Yeah. And by the way, Ed, I turned the comments on my YouTube video too, so you comment now because he texted me earlier, like turn your comments on. Like, my bad.
Johnny Burke coming in the comments on Facebook. Let me know what match you're looking forward to most on WrestleMania. Ed, you too. What are you looking forward to on WrestleMania? Well, with that being said, we got through night 1. Let's go through night 2 of WrestleMania real quick in the matches and give you who we think is going to win. All right. Hyden, I'll let you go first since you've been quiet again for a little bit. It says we've got.
I just spoke.
I know that, but I'm talking about giving you one of the matches.
I got you.
With the stuff like that. So first off, we've got the women's tag team title match. We don't know who their opponents are going to be yet, but you got Shayna and Nia Jax are going to face whoever wins from that gauntlet match. Me personally, I'm hoping it's the Riot Squad. Who are you hoping that we see on night 2 for that one?
Yeah, and before I make this prediction, I do have to head out here after this, so I'm going to let you know that.
Yes, sir.
But like I said, I'll probably stick with Tamina and Natalya, and I think Nia and Shayna will probably still retain and keep that going. It's not a big interest to me, like what Kyle's, kind of sleeping right now probably. But, I'm not really that interested in it, but that's who I think.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one. Well, Hyden, I appreciate you joining us, brother, man. It's always a pleasure. Like I said, you'll probably be seeing Hyden joining us again at some point. We got a couple more matches left to go here on the WrestleMania preview and all that good stuff. But Hyden, we appreciate you as always.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you, guys. Have a good night. Enjoy WrestleMania
as well, man.
Yes, sir. All right. Look. We've got a few matches left to go here. Yeah, that match is definitely not one that I'm really looking forward to, but this one I feel like could be a show stealer on night 2. You got Matt Riddle versus Sheamus. Okay? I feel like if they let this match go, dude, this could really be a good match. Corey, what are you thinking about this one? What do you remember of Matt Riddle from his time in the UFC?
I remember he was really good, man, and was it USADA or was it WADA at the time when he got fucked over? Do you remember?
I think it was USADA still.
Yeah, I think it was very early USADA, but man, he was looking really good and dominant in the promotion. He was
all because he was smoking weed. Man was on a 2-fight win streak and they still cut him from the UFC. That was some bullshit.
Yeah, I'm glad times have changed in that regard. In multiple facets of life, let alone just in a professional field like MMA. But that being said, I am excited, especially for the fact that I got compared to him last night. So I so have to have my eye on the match. But I am genuinely excited because I haven't seen what his transition into wrestling has looked like. So now that he's more than gotten his foot in the water, he's now big show on a WrestleMania card. I'm excited to see what
he's going in his chin.
Doing. That's what I'm excited what he's able to do with it. I am.
Kyle, wouldn't you say that this could be one of the sleeper matches for night 2?
Yeah, from just knowing Sheamus, he has a thing where he's similar to Seth Rollins, to where if he has a higher spot on the night, he wants to go out there and really just try to steal the show. Sheamus, on the trajectory he's been really the last probably year, with him really getting a sustained push, I actually think that he might be able to pull this one off and then really try to book this long form, like maybe to end it, maybe SummerSlam. I really think that this might be an upset where Sheamus comes in and takes the belt off of Riddle, which I don't think it will really hurt Riddle that much because he's just got so much cred with the fans. I think he could take this loss even for the title and still be a guy that you see as one of the top names on SmackDown.
I can't argue with that one, dude. I mean, the feud they had, that little mini run with Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre in between him getting back towards the title, I mean, those matches were great. And I think the potential for what could come with him and Riddle is insane. Well, since we've got people in the comments talking about particular matches and a match we haven't talked about yet, let's talk about the match that Stacy is talking about in the comments. Randy Orton versus The Fiend. Now, with them lighting him on fire, I really liked the way he came back. I thought that looked dope. I have to give credit where that's due. The way they did, like the burned up body and the mask and all that, that shit was fire. It was fire. My issue with this match is that we've already seen it, and we've seen it at WrestleMania. It's that's where I guess it's frustrating, I guess, in a way, because it's like, I want to see it because I feel like it's going to be really cool cinematically, but at the same time, it's just frustrating because I want to see something different. But I have to say, I still think this is going to be a great match. Kyle, what are you thinking about this one?
It's had an interesting build. It's had the most sustained build of any match because they've given it that much time, because Randy commands that being one of the greatest superstars they've ever had. And with Fiend being the most interesting character they've had, I would prefer to see a similar match to the Firefly Funhouse from last year with Cena. I doubt they're going to do that. But if you're going to lean into the Fiend's gimmick, if you're going to lean into the supernatural part, go all in. Just basically do a better version of what you did with Randy and Bray a few years ago. Now that you have Bliss in there, that does add in a new dynamic. Just go completely 100% cinematic. And the only time they're actually in the ring at the stadium is for the 1, 2, 3. And just have them like teleport there or something. Like, just completely give into it and let that be similar to the Undertaker's match last year.
Story at this point, especially with what they've done with the Fiend, I definitely agree with you on that one. I think it has to be. Now, Ed coming in with the shit out of left field. Okay, Eddie J popping in again, talking about, I'm looking forward to the WrestleMania bump Shane takes on night 1 and Orton the Fiend in night 2.
I think Shane has to jump off the pirate ship at the Raymond James Stadium.
How the fuck do you do that in a cage match? If he gets all the way to the pirate ship, he's won the match at that point, didn't he?
I don't. If the thing is, you can't. Kyrie Sane is no longer with the company, which pisses me off, because how do you have a WrestleMania at a pirate themed stadium and not have the Pirate Princess? So since she's gone and she won't be able to show up, Shane needs to jump off that damn thing.
I can't argue that one, dude, but I mean, you got to know that Shane's going to do something crazy. Tyler coming in the comments, have we ever done a top 10 entrances and top 10 entrance music? Now, we did talk about, because Corey was part of that with us, we did talk about top 5 entrance musics when we had, who was that we had on talking about that?
Mega Ran?
Yeah.
That was the Mega Ran episode.
Yeah, it was Mega Ran. We were talking about that with Ran, and then we also talked about top 5 Metallica songs. That's what else I was thinking. Top 5 Metallica songs with the homie Mecha Wolf. Stacy coming in the comments on Facebook again. I wish the Playhouse was set on fire. Now that's something that would make sense. With Bray getting lit on fire, what if Randy says, well, now I really figured it out. Now I know where the Firefly Funhouse is. Not only do I know what you're doing, but I know where the Firefly Funhouse is, and we've already seen him light the house on fire that Sister Abigail was apparently buried in. Light the Firefly Funhouse up. Shit, they kill the damn puppets off every week anyway, so light that bitch up. But I'm with you, man. I think that that could be something we could see if it ends up being a cinematic match. What left do we got on this card? Okay, Kyle, how are you feeling about the Nigerian drum fight?
I am cautiously optimistic. The fact that you are getting a WrestleMania match with Apollo Crews for a title I like that. I've been a fan of his. I'm glad that they're finally giving him a sustained push and actually building some character into him, besides him just being a white meat, ironically, baby face that just smiles at everything and just happens to be athletic. I wish that this wasn't his first big feud almost, because if he loses to Big E, then that kind of deflates the trajectory he's been on. I wish E's match, because I want E to win, was versus somebody that didn't need the win, like Apollo needs it, because they both kind of need this. E needs a big win as Intercontinental Champion to really have a sustained run, but Apollo is getting the best development he's ever had. I don't want it to kill that momentum. So I this is one of the few ones I'm really split, because I like both of them. If I had to choose one over the other, I would go with E, because E is a future face of the company. He can carry it. He has carried it before with the New Day. He is a proven draw. He is a proven merchandise mover. So if I had to choose one, I'm going to choose E.
So I think E's going to win that one too. I'm honestly, and Tyler is asking what Tyler's coming in on the comments on YouTube again. What is a Nigerian drum match? Tyler, none of us really know what the hell a Nigerian drum match is, and that's part of the allure to this one, because I don't know what the hell they're going to come up with. I just hope it's better than the Punjabi prison match. I don't know, man. I don't know how I see this going, but I feel like Apollo has to win this one, dude.
It's one of those where
Apollo has to win this, especially with how much you've harped on the Nigerian part, and you made this the Nigerian drum match, and you've given him how many rematches? If he loses again, at what point do we stop saying, look, motherfucker, you don't get no more title shots? Like, you got to go back down the line. At a certain point, we're going to have to do that. Stacy coming in the comments on Facebook, she's rolling with Big E on this one. I think just because of the way they've hyped the Nigerian drum match, I feel like I got to go with Apollo on this one. But I wouldn't be surprised if Big E keeps the belt either. All right, what do we got left on this card? The last two matches we got left on this card, obviously this probably isn't the way the match order is going to go. What are your thoughts on Asuka versus Rhea Ripley, Kyle? And any of you guys who are in the comments, please let us know what your thoughts are on Asuka versus Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, this is a match. I know because of everything that was going on with Charlotte, with her having to go out with possibly them thinking she was pregnant, and then having COVID. They had to change things up. I wish we would have got a better build up for Rhea, because Rhea deserves it. I love Asuka. I think that if you do not put the title on Rhea, she will be forever damaged as a character. You cannot afford to have her lose to Asuka in this match. Her first feud, her first match almost after coming up to the main roster, after the entire deflation of her character last year from losing to Charlotte. If you do not put the title on her now, you might as well just push her into main event or a dark show or something, because she'll never get over again.
Oh, I don't know that I think it's, quite that. I don't think that it's necessarily that damaging if she loses, but I mean, to have her come in that area to where she's just going to come in and win. Yeah, dude, she's got to win, or it's gonna hurt her. I don't know that it damages her beyond repair, but it definitely is gonna hurt. It's definitely gonna hurt some things. Tyler coming in the comments again. He's got to go with Big E. He's not got the New Day thing going on anymore, man. He's completely single now that he's over on SmackDown. The New Day will be going at it in night one against Omos and AJ Styles. Yeah, it's on Saturday and Sunday, man. We're going to be watching it at the crib. Corey's going to be watching it. Kyle, you're invited as well. Tyler coming in the comments. Like I said, man, usually we would be having a party with our homies from Breaking Down the Ring. Any of you guys that have been following us for a while, Stacy, I know you're newer to the show. Like I said, we usually have big parties down at B-Dubs with our homies from Breaking Down the Ring for all the pay-per-views. Hopefully, once COVID kicks out, We've given away NXT tickets and title belts and t-shirts and all these things. So make sure you stay tuned. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss anything else. Because like I said, we will be live Tuesday at 9 with Ray Lynn, who did her thing at Mission Pro Wrestling, which you can see us there May 1st. All right. We already talked about the tag team title match, so there's no need on harping on spilt milk. The triple threat match. Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan versus Edge. All of you guys in the comments. Ed, if you're still watching, I want to know who the fuck you got in the main event. Stacy, I want to know who you got in the main event. Tyler, I want to know who you got in the main event. You got Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan versus a returning Edge. I still am looking forward to this match. Kyle, how are you feeling about this one?
I mean, it's good to see Edge back. I mean, this is a guy I grew up with. Most of us grew up with watching, so it's good to see that. Daniel Bryan is one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. Just have a soft spot in my heart for him. I mean, I've seen his whole career. I saw him back in Ring of Honor. So it's cool. I love the new version of Roman. They finally, have gone heel with him. He's having the best work of his entire career, in my opinion. This is the best he's ever been. I honestly don't want Edge to win. No matter if it's either Roman, I like it because Roman keeps going forward and being just the absolute stranglehold on SmackDown. You cannot beat him. Or if Daniel wins, we know it's his last ride. We're going to get one last great run out of him, and we're going to get the full effort out of him. That'll be amazing to see, but I don't want to see Edge win this.
Who do you want to see win then?
I'm good. Like I said, I'm good either way. If I was going to put money down on it, I would rather see Roman win and just completely just go all in. He's nigh unbeatable. You have to either be Brock Lesnar or somebody that has an amazing rocket put to their back and just has all the momentum to where you can see him beating him. But if you're going to go with Roman, just make him look absolutely dominant and just be the absolute fear of everybody on SmackDown.
All right, Stacy coming in the comments. She thinks Edge is going to win. She said, Roman I never liked. Edge deserves the win. Corey, before I give my picks, how are you feeling about this? Because I know you remember Edge from when we were kids.
Absolutely.
How are you feeling about this match and what I've told you with Roman Reigns?
Well, Roman
Who are you
Reigns,
picking in this one?
Roman Reigns is actually one of the few characters that I'm familiar with outside of the wrestling, spectrum, I guess you could say, just because of the fact he does kind of seem to be like the leading star of the WWE brand at the moment. Big guy, kind of similar build and, ethnicity and stuff to The Rock. Isn't he actually share bloodlines with him?
Yep.
Yeah, they're cousins.
That's why he was even in the Fast and the Furious with him, Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, I mean, so he does good on the mic. He has that look, he does really well. The whole Edge thing, I see a lot of wrestling fans, and especially with us doing the podcast every week, twice a week now, it's really a love and hate relationship with these older stars returning, like the Edge and stuff like that. It's really like people are really happy to see them on their way back. I mean, they're really happy to have them have that one last shot, or like in the Goldberg case, you just want to see him fucking retire. I've heard you say it probably, I don't even know how many times, Kyle. So it's like, it's a real love-hate relationship, but a lot of times what it ends up being is you want to see him look good but lose. That's what I end up kind of getting out of it more often than not from people, is they want to see him go out there, perform like they used to in the old days, but they still want the newer, younger people to get the shine off of them, I guess you could say. And I feel like that's what we're going to end up seeing on the night. I think, like you said, I think it's going to probably fall in the way of Roman Reigns because he fits the mold, man. I mean, there's a reason why somebody like me who doesn't, necessarily follow wrestling is familiar with him. That's not a name that I stumble to think of or forget or anything like that. That's somebody that's kind of been implanted through the MMA or WWE can't talk now. Networking wheel. You know, they really did a good job of putting him out there in front of everybody, and I think that's through stuff like this, which they're going to continue to do. So, in my opinion.
All right. Well, Ed is putting in his pick as well. He says he's pulling for Edge because he doesn't see them giving Bryan the same outcome as WrestleMania 30. Tyler coming in on YouTube says that means Edge because he's the one that jumped in with You Think You Know Me, so he's going with Edge as well. And then Stacy coming in with the pipe bombs over here talking about that there's rumor that Cena's going to show up, which I wouldn't be too surprised. I don't really know where they fit him in at.
If he does, that's when you do the Firefly Funhouse because he's trapped in the Firefly Funhouse. So that will probably be the best way to bring him out when Edge and Randy are doing something. Just have him make a little cameo.
You mean Bray and Randy?
I mean Bray and Randy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you though, dude. That would be cool if that was how they're gonna do it. I don't know that we see Cena come up, but I mean, hey, if they could do it without there being any like real noise about it, that would be at least a nice surprise. And then Ed coming in, even though Edge had to have an unexpected heel turn like Batista did years back. I mean, they really booked themselves into a corner with that too, Ed, because I mean, when you really think about it, you got Roman, who even though he's the heel in this match, most people like Roman better than anything they got on SmackDown. You got Edge, who's pretty much unbooable because he came back after 11 years and all that with his health. And then you got Daniel Bryan, who everybody's wanted to see kind of, get his one last shot. But then, like Ed said, they basically turned Edge heel too, to a degree, because he's pissed because he didn't get his one-on-one shot. So, I mean, it is kind of reminiscent to what we saw at WrestleMania 30, but I still got to feel like after everything that's happened with Edge and all that, something tells me I think Edge is going to win that title. That's going to be my final pick for that one. I think it's going to be Edge. You're going with Roman Reigns, Corey, and who are you going with, Kyle?
I'm going with the head of the table. I'm going with Roman Reigns.
Stacy coming in. Hey, we got Orton 30 minutes last year, but beat Edge's ass, but he lost. But like I said, man, it's still WrestleMania. I still get excited to see it every year. Maybe not the best build that we were looking forward to, but hey, I still feel like at the end of the day, we're going to have a lot to talk about come Tuesday. Wow, Tyler coming in hot. He said Edge is going to pin Roman Reigns after a spear. He said, fuck yo, spear. I mean, hey, that would be a good way to cap it if you're going to have him beat Roman, but I feel like if Edge is going to win, I feel like he's going to pin or beat DB somehow. But we've kept you here for over 2 hours. We appreciate you guys watching us and everybody that tuned in throughout the stream. Make sure you check us out, and if you haven't already done so, make sure you hit that like button on the Knockouts and 3 Counts page. We're live here every Tuesday and Thursday, usually with one interview and one episode of us just shooting the shit and shooting the breeze. Like I said, Kyle, it was great to have 2 of the original 4 horsemen.
Always good, man.
You can check out all of us getting all 4 of us back together over on A World of Chaos over at the Team Chaos YouTube page and all that good stuff. And Stacy, you have a great night as well. Hopefully we'll see you back here Tuesday when we bring on the beautiful Ray Lynn, who just did her thing over at AEW Dark Elevation. Well, I've flapped my gums enough for a Friday night between having to sling the mail at the post office and talking about WrestleMania. Tomorrow's WrestleMania. So until next time, and in the in-between time, if you haven't done so, hit that subscribe button. And if you don't want to, well, fuck your couch.
Shout out Stacy. Thank you for being so active in the comments. We really appreciate that stuff.
Stacy, Tyler, we appreciate you. And Knockouts and 3 Counts #1 fan, Eddie J. We appreciate you, my guy. Yep. Tyler coming in one last comment. Well, you got to think about durability wise. I bet Daniel Bryan's going to be the first one down, and then Roman and Edge standing last before someone gets pinned. Hey, man, I can't really argue with that, sir. I mean, it's a good chance that that's how it plays out. And Stacy, we appreciate you with the good show. Like I said, we're live here every Tuesday and Thursday, and make sure you check out Kyle's show over at Team of Chaos as well. And until next time, and in between time, like I said, if you're hating, you know what they say, go to church. Peace. In broadcast.